Welcome to 7 times 70 at 7times70.substack.com. A video view by Patrick Chisholm.
Will San Francisco become Detroit? Doom loop is a commonly used phrase these days to describe San Francisco. The bad fruits of mismanagement of that city are legion: rising crime, homelessness, pervasive litter, businesses shuttering, residents fleeing. In an urban doom loop, tax rates and regulations rise, as do soft on crime policies. In response, businesses leave and police morale declines. That leads to jobs disappearing, tax revenue declining, and city services getting cut. Crime then goes up, and the quality of life and quality of schools go down. Residents flee for greener pastures, especially right-leaning voters, i.e. Republicans fed up with high taxes and woke agendas. The remaining residents are disproportionately on the left. That gives Democrats a lock on the mayorship and city council, which in turn spurs even higher tax rates, even more onerous regulations on businesses, and more soft on crime policies. Businesses continue to flee, as do members of the police force. That prompts more of the same, and the downward cycle persists. The exodus of conservatives and moderates commonly results in a voter base that's 95% hard-left Democrat. For a glimpse of what's in store for San Francisco if city leadership continues as is, look to Detroit. That once vibrant city has been in a doom loop for more than a half-century. Its population peaked in 1952 at 1.85 million, shrinking to fewer than 620,000 now, with 38% living below the poverty line. It's a poster child for high crime and urban blight, with row after row, street after street peppered with deserted and dilapidated homes and buildings that once stood proud in a bygone era. Back in 2014, a study found that 20% of Detroit's parcels were blighted or near blighted. It may be even worse now, with whole urban blocks returning to prairie. Mainly only the downtown area is seeing a bit of growth. That bleak picture won't happen to San Francisco overnight, but over the course of decades, it too is at high risk of becoming a bastion of urban decay. Yes, there will be frequent efforts to revitalize the city through federal urban renewal grants to knock down blighted properties and subsidize new construction, as is the case with Detroit. But that will never fundamentally fix things. What will fundamentally fix San Francisco and Detroit and so many other cities is reform-minded governance, the election of new leadership totally committed to tackling crime and regulations in ways that city residents are far from used to. It's what happened in New York in the 1990s with Mayor Rudy Giuliani. New Yorkers, overwhelmingly Democrats, were so fed up with the rampant crime and shoddy municipal services that they actually narrowly elected a Republican to make a fresh start. His efforts reduced violent crime by more than 50% during that decade, a much sharper reduction than what the nation as a whole experienced at the time. Could the same thing happen in San Francisco? With Democrats saturating that city and the last Republican mayoral candidate snagging only 14% of the vote, fat chance that the GOP could ever capture City Hall. The best San Franciscans could hope for is electing a Democrat who, once in office, does an about-face to sclerotic Democrat policies and embarks on an agenda that steals heavily from the Republican playbook. What would such an agenda involve? For starters, broken windows policing. That entails vigorously going after misdemeanors, illegal camping, litter, broken windows, graffiti, and the like. Studies have shown that a sense of order and tidiness discourages crime. Broken windows policing was a central pillar of the Giuliani mayorship in New York City, despite the hordes of leftist naysayers in academia. As an example of this type of policing, the New York City Transit Authority directed its transit police to aggressively arrest subway fare evaders, which had the effect of dramatically bringing down more serious crimes in that transportation system. San Francisco champions the opposite of broken windows policing. Embodying that was rogue prosecutor Chesa Boudin, the city's district attorney who thankfully was recalled. Rogue prosecutors not only are against prosecuting most misdemeanors, but also many felonies. And they downgrade felonies to misdemeanors. Or they let perpetrators roam free prior to his or her court date. Boudin's replacement, Brooke Jenkins, seems to be an improvement. San Francisco has started to crack down on misdemeanors. They're clearing out open-air drug markets as well as arresting people for public intoxication, drug possession, and drug sales. Of course, leftists and academia are in a tizzy. But it isn't being done as vigorously as was done in New York in the 1990s. For that to happen, San Francisco needs a Rudy Giuliani-like mayor. While the current mayor London Breed is considered more moderate than the hard leftists on the city council, she's still not taking the bold anti-crime pro-business measures needed to turn the city around. San Francisco is also constrained by statewide laws such as Prop 47, which reclassified many nonviolent felonies as misdemeanors, including increasing the felony shoplifting threshold from $400 to $950. The crime situation is bad enough for businesses in San Francisco, exacerbating that are high taxes and regulations. It's one of the least business-friendly cities in the nation. In 2021, it imposed a gross receipts tax on businesses and, in true socialist style, an additional tax on businesses with highly compensated CEOs. A few years earlier, enacted measures included paid sick leave and family leave, overtime pay for workers earning under a certain amount, employer-paid health insurance, and a minimum wage hike. With the trend in remote work, as well as sky-high rents, one would think the city would strive to retain businesses through tax cuts, loosened regulations, and other incentives. But it's doing the opposite. With the discovery that much of the business done in San Francisco can be done remotely, well-known and long-established businesses have begun to see the benefit to decentralize or to relocate, writes Craig Tatlong-Harry, partner at RSM. Several Bay Area titans have announced plans to leave California for states with lighter tax burdens. To turn itself around, San Francisco needs to aggressively pursue broken windows policing, tough on crime policies, and business-friendly economics. Can it happen? Not likely. There's not near enough voter support for a mayor strong and bold enough to carry all of that out. Amid the ongoing doom loop, those most prone to flee the city are conservatives, what few of them there are, and moderates. The people remaining are hard lefties who will vote for more of the same or even worse policies, thus driving out even more reform-minded voters, and so on. A recent example of that is Chicago, with leftist Mayor Lori Lightfoot getting replaced by the even harder leftist Brandon Johnson. What's going on in our cities is tragic, especially San Francisco, being so rich in history, beauty, and the spirit of enterprise and entrepreneurship. It's caught in a true doom loop. The result? Detroit.
Thank you for watching the 7x70 video view. For the latest commentary on politics, religion, culture, and more, go to 7x70.substack.com.